Welcome to Mogul Talk, where wealth and lifestyle converge. We are Mindset Media, dealing with business, social relevance, abundance, lifestyle, and spirituality. This is your time. This is your moment. And this is your host, Ms. Mogul, Charity Smith.
Hello, America, and literally around the world. This is Charity Smith. I am Miss Mogul. We, of course, you all know, are in our gratitude and our thankfulness series. Well, I have a very special treat for you on this edition. This time, we're changing it up a little bit. I'm doing what I call my Sister Circle edition. This is where I have invited some of my closest and my dearest friends. Now, normally I don't share my personal life. You all know that. But I found such treasure very close to me in these relationships. And when I thought about the series of thankfulness and gratitude, these were the women that came to mind that I wanted to have this conversation with. So now, without further ado, I'm going to bring them in. And as I bring them in, I'm going to introduce them. So here we go. All right, you all, this is a treat. So again, get your laptop, get your latte. This is going to be a lot of fun. So the first guest is my dear friend of more than 30 years, Miss Katrina Freisen. Many of you may know her from our Baltimore days at Morgan State University. But let me tell you about Katrina. She's a treasure. Katrina is the author of Entertaining the Godly Life, a guide to personal holiness in the industry. She has over 30 years in the entertainment industry and is the CEO of Banner Communications Incorporated, where she's also represented the Miss America organization. Katrina is a world missionary, visiting several countries around the world. And really what she specializes in is training people, particularly women, in the inner beauty and character of holiness. Now, that's a word we don't really use anymore, but trust me, holiness has not gone out of style. And I'm so glad to have that conversation with her. She is married to a wonderful pastor in Atlanta and is the mother of 3 children. So again, welcome to my good friend, Katrina. Now, next I have joining me in the Sister Circle is Mrs. Elaine Johnson. Now, again, Elaine is my sunflower. She's my dear heart, and she's what I call my bonus sister. She's married to my brother, and I've known this, and I call him my brother, but we're not blood, but yeah, we're blood. But Elaine is, yes, Elaine is a treasure. So let me tell you a little bit about Elaine. Elaine is the co-author of Manage Your Marriage, Master Your Workplace. She is a relationship architect and epiphany coach. Now, come on. Who could not use an epiphany or 5? So, yes, she's also the co-owner of ericandme.com. Let me say that again, ericandelaine.com. ericandelaine.com, a relationship management company. Elaine and her husband of 26 years host singles, couples, and relationship seminars literally around the world. Again, retreats where they teach the necessary skills for healthy, resilient relationships. She is the mother of 6 beautiful daughters. Now, come on, is that not a crown or what? 6 beautiful daughters. And she trains women how to discover their divine assignment and experience their own epiphany. Welcome to the Sister Circle, Elaine.
Thank you, beautiful.
Now, last but certainly not least, you all would think that I've known my next guest for about 25 years. It seems that way, but we have not known each other as long as I've known the other guests. But if I tell you, she is a friend that is near and dear to my heart. She is the person of Dr. Michelle Van. Let me tell you about Michelle. Michelle serves her community as an Amazon best-selling author. She's an educator, life coach, motivational speaker, and I'm going to say even a pastor trainer who loves helping women particularly heal mind, body, and spirit. Health and wellness, particularly mental health, is her space. She is the owner of Fantastic Solutions and the founder of Sisters Can we talk? This is a nonprofit helping women, again, grow in their knowledge of the health disparities and how those health disparities impact their overall well-being. So without further ado, and again, these ladies are literally all over the country, and we're chiming in now. Ladies, welcome to Sister Circle.
Thank you.
Oh, now
It's
come on.
such a pleasure, a treasure to be with
Yes.
you and my sisters.
Listen, the guests who are watching, again, this will air in the mornings and different times of day, night, whatever. But I wanted to have this particular conversation with you all because, again, when we're talking about gratitude and thankfulness, my relationships are right up there with my children, my faith, my salvation, my business, those things that I hold close to me. Mm-hmm. It's the relationships that I've been blessed to have. And so when I think about relationships and what I treasure, it's you all that come to mind. There's an old hymn that we used to sing, count your blessings, name them one by one. And I'm like, okay, so thank you for Katrina. Thank you for Elaine. Thank you for Michelle. It's really like that for me. And so I appreciate you all having this conversation with me and literally with the world about what it means to have a thankful life. And I wanted to take a minute and kind of define thankfulness because we spelled it a little bit different. It's THANK capital FULL, meaning full of thankfulness. And so when I think about that, it's living a life and having a paradigm from thankfulness, from a gratitude perspective, right? So it's how we live our life. And it's not a holiday for me, right? It's not something we do once a year. It's something that we do, and I know each and every one of you do on a daily basis. So I wanted to, again, have this conversation with y'all, right?
Yes.
Now, look, don't be starchy. Just because we're on this show, folks are going to be like, she got some dry friends. Listen, everybody's on the media face, but when we are together, it is lit and it's a lot of fun. So I hope that
we don't know how well we can cut up. That's we just trying to be a little respectful.
Okay, well,
how well can we cut up?
Be you. That's what I'm talking about. Be you. Be authentically you. My audience knows by now I laugh hard, I laugh loud, and I'm full-throated with all of it, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm full-throated with my truth, whether it's in humor or whether it's direct. I'm full with it. So it's good with me. I want you all to authentically share what it means for you to live a life of gratitude. And however you want to start at, well, let's start with Michelle. Michelle, when you think about living life from the vantage point, right? It's where you're positioned in life and thankfulness. What does that mean to you? And how do you execute that? How do you infuse? And by the way, let me tell you all a little bit about Michelle. So not only is she a motivational speaker, world traveler, and all those wonderful things I mentioned, she's a pastor's wife. She runs a school. She's an educator of over 30 years, and she's always surrounded by loud, I'm just going to say our beautiful next generation. How about that? Can you hear me still, Michelle? Okay. So what does it mean to you to infuse thankfulness in your everyday life?
Well, I think if you don't infuse that thankfulness, there is a piece in which I kind of talk about it this way. There's sometimes when you're on top of the world and sometimes the world is on top of you. If you don't come into the space with that gratitude, then the world can overtake your world thought. And so it really becomes very imperative that we walk with thankfulness, being that guide and that stair step as we move forward, because otherwise we really can get overwhelmed by the things that we see in the world, the things that we hear. My husband was preaching this morning and we were talking driving to church. There was this whole conversation about the NRA and all of these things happening. Well, if we would have allowed that to cloud our minds, we wouldn't have been able to go into do worship. And so I think that really becomes the piece that we have to look at. How do we not our world and the world systems to cloud our mind, but we come to our everyday moment, every situation with a thankful heart, knowing that doctors tell you every day, you're going to be healed faster, have a relationship with God, have a thankful heart, have a praise on your mouth. And those are things that doctors don't love to tell you, but they have proven make a difference in your healing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to validate that. So in one of my other interviews, I was speaking with a woman who's done the neuroscience study on thankfulness and how it shows up in the neuroscience, how literally having a mindset of gratitude can have a physical manifestation in your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yes.
while, again, doctors may not say, go pray to God or go get on your knees and just have a hymn of thankfulness, we who are in that space know what it can do. It manifests healing in us mentally, spiritually, physically,
Yeah.
right? I can wake up some mornings and I have this thing where I try to be still long enough to hear what my thoughts are. And I will sometimes
Right.
hear a song, or I'll hear a word, or I'll hear a scripture, and it has an impact on the day. So absolutely what you're talking about, living from that vantage point, then leads into another manifestation of healing and wholeness. We're going to have that
But
conversation.
think about our grandparents. My grandma used to walk around and she used to hum all the time. And I'd be like, Grandma, why are you so why are you? But it was, she said, baby, when you'll get old enough and you'll know that one of the things that you have to do is you have to put a song in your heart. You have to put a song on your lips, because otherwise what'll come out of you may not be of Jesus.
Good old wisdom, Grandma.
Yes.
Good old wisdom, Grandma. Katrina and Elaine, chime in. What does it mean? Because you all are balancing such weighty perspectives in life, right? Both of you are married over 20 plus years, and both of you lead congregations and lead organizations and help co-lead families. What does it mean for you to live your life from a place of thankfulness? I want to start with Elaine, and particularly, how do you train your daughters in this, right? How do you demonstrate thankfulness to your daughters? But then I'm gonna flip the script. How does then your thankful attitude have an impact on your marriage relationship?
Good question. I don't know no better. Let me just start there.
Well, we can do it like that then. That's fine. That's fine. We can do it like
Because
that.
I just don't know no better. You know, when I think about how good he has been, really, and we know we've heard that all throughout church, right, growing up, but literally to have been given life and to have been given even an opportunity to press reset, so to speak, you know,
Talk about
from
that.
a miracle, yes, from a place of having died and then be resurrected, right, literally 27 years ago. That was my story. And so to have that opportunity to where I can now, I was able to have children when the doctor said that I wouldn't. I was able to actually walk again when the doctor said, we don't think she's going to ever walk. They were getting ready to amputate my legs. So to go from that and to ever live a day where I am not thankful, that I am not grateful, I dare not. I dare not. And so as you said, and you asked the question, how did I teach my daughters? We're worshipers, we're praisers. And I have been all throughout my growing up, just always a desire to just, I mean, I would remember laying in the grass as a little girl and looking up at the sky. And I would just, we weren't even in church at that time, but I just had a gratefulness in my heart. And I lived from that, even from a little child. So to teach my daughters in times, you know, that we're in now, this is all I know. So they have, you know, been able to be recipients of really understanding that your worship, everything is surrounding your worship. Everything is surrounding your praise. Everything is surrounding what you give to Abba Yah. He's going to in turn give back to you in more abundance than you can ever imagine, right? So just that in and of itself, I would be intentional with them. And I would sit them outside and sit them in the grass and make them close their eyes, right? I say make them, because sometimes y'all know we had to be made to do some things, right? But they grew to love Abba Yah. They grew to, and I say Abba Yah, so, and I am talking about God, right? But I just do what Psalm 68:4 says, we call him, call his name Yah. And, but I am still, of course, talking about God. And so that's what I've done. And that's important to me. I believe that if we can teach our children to know and hear the voice of Yah, to hear the voice of God, we've done a job well done. That's
See, I want to go back to a couple of things that you touched on, Elaine, because I don't want the audience to miss the opportunity to really get the depth of it. You said that you had the opportunity, the experience to be resurrected. You actually have 2 birthdays now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that story. What happened there? If you can kind of, and it's a huge story, but what was that experience that gave you the 2nd birthday? What was that?
Yeah, and I'll try to be brief because it is a long story, like you said, but just in September 9th, 1994, was on my way to work with my sister, and we were hit T-boned by an 18-wheeler. That was the end result of all the other cars that we hit and that hit us. But an 18-wheeler hit on my side. I was life-flighted to Herman Hospital here in the medical center in Houston, and she was taken to another local hospital. She didn't have as much injuries as I did, but my legs were directly behind my back, as if you would take a pencil and you would pop it and you break it in half. And it was my waist, my pelvis was actually twisted. So it was in the opposite directions that my feet were facing. And the doctors, of course, gave a grim diagnosis. But the miracle that the Father did, they told my then fiance, who is now my husband, told him, you may as well get prepared to, at least get 3 months worth of parking in advance, because she's got a long haul ahead of her. But the miracle that God did in my life was in 8 days, he sent me home. No morphine, 8 days.
Okay.
Ooh,
So,
did y'all get that? New beginning.
Oh, I was trying my best not to go in there. But see,
yes,
what the prognosis should have been years of physical therapy, should have been years of pain and discomfort, and let's be honest, disfigurement in some way. Instead, you get the miracle of going home in 8 days. And for those of us who are in the Hebrew faith or the Christian faith, 8 is the number of new beginnings. So you had a reset in 8 days.
I pressed reset. Yes.
Tell me the role, though, of gratitude in healing your body, mind, and spirit in that. What was the role of gratitude in getting you on the road, not only to recovery, but restoration and healing?
Yes. Thankfulness was a part of my journey, because now think about it, 22 years old, and you got to start all over. You got to learn how to walk again. You one day you driving, and the next day you rolling, right, in a wheelchair. Have a hospital bed in the bedroom, sharing it with my nephew. Having a porta potty next to the hospital bed. World changed, right? I'm having to learn all things all over again. But it was in that place and that time where I had nothing. When people were leaving the house and going to school and to work, I was left in that hospital bed by myself. And besides Rugrats, the cartoon, I said it.
Okay.
Besides Rugrats and my daddy God, that was it. That's all I had. And so I from that place, I would look at my legs. I'm like, well, I don't feel like there's anything wrong, because I was never given pain meds from the day that I left the hospital. So I'm like, I don't understand this. But it was in that time where I was really able to see that there's more to life than what I'd ever known before. And it's when you get to that place when you say, God, there's got to be more to life than this, than what I've known before. then
Yeah.
he can reveal and peel back the layers and bring you more and more things that will be enlightening to you, and you can't go back. So all I've ever known was to give him praise and thanks. And after, when the doctor said that I wouldn't have not one child, giving birth to 5, I'm thankful.
Okay. And listen, I want to bring Katrina in, but it's imperative that we drive home no matter, because listen, let's think about this. And Katrina, go ahead and chime in with this. When you put on top of it, people have found so many areas to complain about and to be bitter about. Certainly, there's a lot happening in the world. I've had friends very recently, and again, people are wondering what kind of Thanksgiving show is this, but this is real life, where I've had to readjust from a very, I wouldn't say a close friend, but somebody I grew up with committed suicide over the weekend, and we had to put him to rest. And we think about, his children, and I think about playing with him, and all of this stuff is rolling through my mind, and I'm thinking about what in the world happened here that he couldn't find something else to live for. He couldn't find gratitude. He didn't have thankfulness to pull on. And so, Katrina, I want you to talk to us a little bit about what thankfulness means to you, because I knew you back in college. And let me tell you, a lot of people have these experiences with their college friends where, girl, I'm getting emotional. Can you believe that? I'm getting old and emotional. But they have these memories of their friends where, you party and you get drunk and you fall out and you don't recall what happened, but you wake up with a lot of misery and regret.
Yeah.
I remember you being a woman of character and integrity and prayer. And I'm going to go old school for people who may not know what this is, or, watching, fasting and prayer. That.
Yeah.
And so I knew you even back then. That's been almost 30 years ago. What has gratitude and thankfulness, living a life from gratitude, how has it helped you cultivate your life's narrative, right? How has thankfulness helped you to write your story, your narrative, your identity? What role has it to write your story?
The thing that's so funny is I'm one of those people who actually, I count my blessings and I go back. I go back to childhood, because while I have 2 amazing parents, there were things in my childhood that were struggles that God helped me overcome. And the fact that I actually made it to college is a blessing. The fact that, because I was sickly in high school, and, just so many different things that I've experienced. And in so many situations, there was a brief moment in college before you met me, where I felt like, okay, God is not doing what I need him to do, and I'm just going to take a break. And in that was one semester. In one semester, I almost lost my life a couple of times, just being at the wrong place with the wrong people.
I know what that's like.
Outside of his will. And the fact that I was alive to fast and pray, it was like, God, thank you. Thank you that you spared my life in all these bad decisions I've made here recently. Thank you that I'm still alive. Thank you that I still have my right mind. Thank you that I've been through things that other people have been through and they did not overcome. Wow. They are not here anymore. But you saw fit to sustain me and give me your word and remind me of who I am, and send the right person to come along my path to pray for me, or to witness to me, or to encourage me in some way. And God has always done that. I'm a worshiper. So songs come to me when things happen. There's a song almost for every situation. And, I think about being broke. And when I was broke, like really broke.
Most college students were broke, but okay.
Then the song, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. That was my song.
Yes.
So I
You
would
better
sing
go. You
that
better
every
go.
time
She can
that
sing for
something
real,
was
y'all.
going on in my life. I learned to use praise as a weapon. And so I'm always thankful. Every morning, that's the first thing I do. Like, I have a room in our house. Well, we call it the guest room, but I'm always down there praying because everybody else is asleep. I get up before my family and I go down there and I just begin to thank him for everything I can think of. Every time, every morning, that's the first thing I do. I can thank him for the deals I've made in business. I can thank him for bringing my children home safely from school.
Come on,
I
it's
can
that.
thank him. I mean, there are too many things, but I do
Yes.
not enter into prayer without thanking him first for several things.
That's good.
Because I know what he's brought me from. I know the things I've overcome. I know the things that I've endured. And I know the things he's kept me from.
Okay, so it's that part. So
That
listen,
part, yes.
I want to take a break. Y'all won't believe it, but we're almost at 30 minutes into the show. I am so serious. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. But when we come back, I want to kind of dive now a little bit deeper into how you live your life from this perspective. You all, and what I'm hoping the listeners get, you all that are listening, you have someone who's represented the Miss America organization. You have someone here who trains people in marriages and relationships. You have a motivational best-selling speaker, best-selling author here. But what is the resounding thing? These are women of faith who live their life full of gratitude. So it doesn't matter where you are in the echelons of business leadership, community leadership, family leadership. It just doesn't matter. What I'm hoping you get from this is you have to start from a place of thankfulness. And it goes and it just resonates throughout your life. So ladies, hang tight. We're going to take this quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to break out and break through? Wait no longer. Charity Smith, known as Ms. Mogul, has created a breakthrough course and mastermind called the Mogul Method for multidimensional leaders wanting to harness their creative power and release their next big idea, transforming their performances, culture, and leadership. A highly sought-after media personality, business and transformative leader, Ms. Mogul enraptures her audience, taking them on a journey of personal and performance discovery with laughter, candor, a biting wit, and over 20 years of business acumen and leadership. Go to www.youcancreateyourown.economy.com now to awaken the mogul in you.
And we are back. Before we went to break, we were talking to Katrina about her perspective, right, of thankfulness and some of the practices of thankfulness that she incorporates in her daily life. So I want to pick up quickly. And Katrina and ladies, we're going to run out of time, and it's just it's frustrating. I want to spend more time with you all. But I want to talk to you right quick, Katrina, about some of your travels as a world missionary. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've seen a lot of different environments and experiences in your travels. Mm-hmm. How have those experiences impacted your perspective of thankfulness?
Ooh, let me tell you, I don't care how frustrated one would get with the United States of America. When you visit another country,
for sure,
by every fiber of your being, you are grateful that you live here. And there are beautiful countries.
Michelle and I are shaking our heads because we have some similar,
you know what I'm saying?
That.
When you go out there and you see children, you know, I never let my children complain about things that they have and don't have, because they have multiple pairs of shoes. When I have been around children with no shoes, none at all, they walk around barefoot every day. They don't have clothes. They don't have clean water. They don't have electricity. They don't have windows in the buildings where they have church, or let alone their homes. And these are things that we can take for granted, or there are things that we have abundance of.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I've gone, and most of the time that I've gone on the mission field, I've taken young people with me, and it is a eye opener. It awakens them, because they go complaining about their parents, complaining about this and that.
Yeah.
But the minute they get into that environment and they see how other children live,
Mm-hmm.
the complaining goes away.
Yeah.
They become grateful that they have parents, grateful that they can go to school, grateful that they can eat what they want. They can choose what they're going to eat when they see kids who are begging to eat.
That's good.
So for me, it's that same way, because I know that when I sit my children get on the school bus to go to school, I know they're going to school. I can call and they say they're here and they're safe. But there are children in other countries who are walking miles to school through jungles, through, gang wars, through different situations. And that's not the same. Other parents don't have that comfort that I do when it comes to those kinds of things. So I'm always grateful. I'm grateful to live in America, to have grown up here, and to have the things that we have, and not just material things, because there are people, families that have great character, great morals, and things like that, who love Jesus, but again, we live in a country where you can freely serve Jesus. You can talk about him and we can have this conversation online, but in other countries, that's not the case. So I'm grateful for all those things. It totally impacts my life.
I hear you. I hear you. Now, Elaine, I want you to pick up there, because when we finished our conversation with you last, you told us about the miracle of your second birthday and the impact it had on your life and how you trained your children in that. But people may not know, this thing goes deep with you. Tell me about your experience, by the way, with Extreme Home Makeover. And tell me about, because when I was asking the ladies, what do you feel comfortable with sharing, right? Because we're talking about living a thankful life. Yes. Many may not know, this beautiful, elegant woman sitting here that you all see on the screen has really experienced some of life's toughest challenges, right? Basic necessities. But the one thing, and I don't want to tell her story, but the one thing I appreciate about her and her husband is they were never defined by it.
Okay.
Never let it define them. And they've used these experiences to build a solid foundation in relationship with themselves, in their marriage, right? Themselves and their own personal relationship with themselves and with their children. Elaine, tell us about how thankfulness impacted the road to Extreme Home Makeover and what has been the use of that home now, because I happen to know that you all host families often, and your home has now become a sanctuary for many, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, wow. Where do I start?
Well, honey, we have 33 minutes. So
I know.
Okay. And then we got somewhere in the middle.
That is when I tell you to feel like I am God's baby girl. Wow. I have experienced so much from that alone, where we went through 3-year journey, inheriting my grandparents' property since the 1940s that it was built. And when my dad passed away, uncles came down from California and said, "Hey, who wants the property?" And I looked at my husband. He looked at me. He wasn't a part of the conversation at the round table because he wasn't, an heir. But I had a sibling who said, "I don't want that old house. Let the crackheads get it," right?
Okay. But hold on, push pause right quick, because you said this when you're speaking to a real estate developer and investor, and then I cringe. But let's talk about, first of all, the blessing of inheriting a property. Now, it may have been in disarray, but that's a whole nother conversation. The blessing that you could now inherit land to now launch your family. But I digress. Go ahead.
Yes. And for me, I didn't even see it as being in disarray. I feel like maybe the Most High duped me I feel like he duped me, like, it ain't as bad as it looks, right? Because we went in like, this is amazing, like, what a blessing, right? To have this handed down. But I had the mindset, had the mindset.
Elaine, like, that's not a hole in the roof. That's just a sun.
Skylight.
That's just a skylight. That's what it was. That's not a hole in the roof. That's a skylight. That's a skylight. Okay.
Look, and the shaking of the floor, that's just a part of the fun, right?
It's a bounce house for the babies.
It's a bouncy house.
It's a bouncy house for the babies. Okay.
Literally.
Okay.
We didn't see it as much of a dump that it was. But I am so grateful because we went in and we had a vision, though.
Yeah.
We had a vision because we knew that there was an assignment that the Father had given us. And that assignment, we had started that assignment before that was released to us. And so the assignment was to work with families, to work with individuals and couples and helping them in their relationships. And so that was our mindset. And so we went in, how can we change the community? Even in that little 720 square foot house, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom.
I didn't know it was that. Okay, wow.
720 square foot. Yeah, that's all. That's it. And so there was.
It's almost a studio apartment, but okay.
I'm telling you.
With 5 babies and a husband. Honey,
5.
My hat is off to you.
So Paul Eric had to go outside and become one with nature many a days, right?
I bet he did.
But we went into it with a vision and just really having that mindset of what can we do with the community. So that's what we did. And we before we knew, we were encouraged by 2 individuals that still to this day don't know each other, to try out for the show. And we were like, we don't qualify. Nobody's sick. Nobody's dying. Nobody's in the military. We don't qualify. And it just so happened, and that's a part of the story I won't go into because it's a longer story, but we ended up agreeing to the process. And the Most High chose us. The Father chose us.
Come on.
And when I tell you like a fairy tale, it was just like I was just his baby girl, and he was just giving me the experience of the time of my life. And it still is to this day where we are still able to say hallelujah every morning that we wake up and we pinch ourselves because it's like, this was given to us. And when you know that something has been given to you by Yah himself, by God himself, right? By the Creator himself, but it was to do a work, and he let us know that it's bigger than you. Ooh. This is not about you. You happen to be a recipient of it, but this is bigger than you. It's for those in the community. It's for those who were watching across the world that would contact us and say, I saw the show and I saw your relationship and it made me change my mind about committing suicide. So I'm going to give it another day because of what I saw in your family, because y'all didn't let the house determine who you were, but y'all remained with joy. So that is why I'm grateful.
And you know what I believe too, Elaine? I believe seeds were sown by a 22-year-old girl who didn't know what the future would hold. But she promised God that if she as she's waking up every morning with gratitude, if you give me another day, I'll give it back.
Yes.
I think a 22-year-old girl sowed seeds into that. And I think you might need to go back and thank her for having that relationship with Yah. I digress on that.
Yes, ma'am.
But you're onto something with that. Purpose is always attached to gratitude. Purpose is always attached to gratitude. When we live a life of thankfulness, we do find ourselves living out purposefully. You don't get up every day haphazard. I hear Katrina, Dr. Van, all of you basically say the same thing. You wake up every morning with intention, with direction, with purpose.
Yes.
Talk
to me
intentional.
He's an intentional Yah. He's an intentional God. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Look, she gonna take us to church out here anyway. It's fine. It's fine. That's who we are. It's fine. But listen, I want to talk to you guys a little bit before we close. And Michelle, I want you to chime in here as well, because I asked the question about balance, right? Because mental health is your space. And so many find themselves in this funk around this time. I don't know what it is. It's like a purple haze that some people just kind of find themselves under every time. Now, we know that there's another reason for that. There's a spiritual component to that. But I want you to talk to us about, too, the mental health part of that. How do we find balance? And how do we find a sense of purpose during this time? Because so many people have commercialized what this time of year was supposed to be about, right? So not only is it commercial, but now it's becoming toxic for folks, right? And they're trying to find their way through it, and they're in a funk because of COVID, and they're maybe in a funk because of this. It's just a lot of funky people. Can we just say funky? Okay, people just funky.
People just funky.
How do we
So
know?
I think there's two things.
The funk of it all.
Yeah, I think there's two things. I think first of all, for us to say that there is a balance gives us a false sense that we can achieve this certain thing. Balance for me, balance for you look very different. So I can't compare my balance to yours, number one. And number two, there is this space in which there is no, I was listening to someone the other day and they just said that it's a teeter-totter. So there is a level in which I'm going to continue to be up and down. There's going to be some things. One day I'm going to be more, I'm going to be able to pray for 2 hours. And some days I can barely pray for 2 minutes. So there's, it depends on what's happening. And so I think we have to give ourselves grace.
Yes.
To understand that balance, that there is this piece in which we're trying to achieve something that isn't really realistic. And so when we can take that out, I have to be in balance. When we can take that off the table, then we now take out a piece of something that I have to do that is not really attainable. Okay.
Realistic expectations.
So
right.
Realistic expectations help you manage your thankfulness. That's what I'm hearing you say. And I'm glad you brought that up because, I make this saying, the talking heads say. But when we talk about balance, usually it's the big hair women, right? Honey, you need balance. You need your zen. I know I said it. You need your zen space. All of this stuff that may not be attainable for me. It's not
I always go back to the who is they?
That
who
part.
Is they? Who said that that women should be in balance? Who said that? And so we have brought into the lie that my day should look like this and this should happen and I should Elaine commercial. I can bring home the bacon fried up in a pan.
Right.
That was a commercial. It wasn't my real life. And when we can get past the commercialism, when we can get past the magazine sort of idea of what should or shouldn't be, then I can walk in my truth. When I walk in my truth, then I can have peace. I think the other thing that we also have to understand is there is something to the fact that next week after next, our time will change. So I used to have this whole thing like, oh my God, I'm trying to get home before it gets dark. Well, sis, it's dark at 5:30. So, there's this piece in which, because we have less light, because our days and nights are kind of switching around because of the season, we also have to understand that there are some seasonal things that happen. If you understand that this is the time of year when you feel depressed, when you feel down, when you feel like things, yes, by all means, on the spiritual side, you need to make sure that you are, praying, that you're seeking God, that you're doing all those things. But on the other side, you may also need to make sure that you understand that you need to have some sunlight, which means that you may need to get some artificial light to put in your office so that you can have sunlight, because vitamin D, vitamin K are low. And for us as melanated women, we are always D deficient. And so when we get into times when there is no sun, D deficiency will make us tired, will make us depressed. And we have to understand physiologically there is stuff happening to our body, to our mind, which affects us mentally, and we cannot figure out why we can't get out of the bed. I may not really be depressed. I may just be vitamin D deficient.
Look,
okay? But
okay?
Wow.
It manifests in my body as depression. And so I have to make sure. I stopped my doctor. I said, hey, come on, sis, we got to get all these hormones together. And one of the things that we have to look at is we've got to make sure we're in balance. If our minds and our bodies and our spirits are in balance, that does not mean that my time is balanced. That does not mean that my mind is always balanced. But if I can get the things, if I can get my hormones together, then some of this will go together. One of the things we understand is when we get into menopause, one of the things we start to miss is we start to lose words. We start to but part of that is because our hormones are not in balance. Wow. And so when we can get those things in balance, then our thankfulness is able to come forth because we can be full of thanks, not full of hate.
Yes.
Listen,
yes.
So you just set a whole generation of women free with that.
Yes.
Okay. So she said, amen over here. Listen, I love that you bring up the practicality and the physiology of all of this, because it's not just, she has a bad attitude or she goes through this cycle every year. And then people start to shun and relationships break down because people don't have an understanding of what's happening.
But I don't tell you this from practically, I tell you this from experience, because I literally did for years. I would go through this cycle. October would hit and I would be in depression from October to February. And I had to start to figure out why. And it wasn't, I love God. You don't love, no, it wasn't that. I love Jesus.
Come on, shout out to Erica Campbell.
It wasn't that I didn't love God.
You love God?
What's wrong with you?
It wasn't that. It wasn't that I didn't love God. And it wasn't that he didn't love me. I was going through some stuff that was seasonal and that I needed to be able to get a hold of. And so I think that's the thing that I want us to understand.
And I want to put a pin right there and just kind of amplify it again. Melanated women, particularly, I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute and then I might get off and I might not. Y'all know me. We need to now take our physical care and our mental care more seriously.
Yes.
And make it more of a priority.
Yes.
Yes.
There is no badge of honor in martyrdom.
No.
Yes.
I'm going to say that again for all you sisters who may be writing notes. There is no badge of honor in martyrdom. Yes. You have to take care of yourself. And if you need to stop and not be all things to all women or all men or all children or all clients and stakeholders, I get it. If you need to take the S off, matter of fact, go burn the darn t-shirt.
Okay.
It won't be in your wardrobe anymore.
Yeah.
Take the cape off unless it has fur on it. Vegan fur, of course, for all you Peter people. Okay, get you some vegan fur and put your cape on, and it's good for the season. But if you're not wearing the cape for that, then take it off. Yes. I love, Michelle, that you bring humanity to the forefront. And that's really what I heard you say. Deal with your humanity. Statistically, don't you all know that more suicides go up this time of year than at any other year? And some of it just could be a hormonal imbalance. Or a misunderstanding or a misalignment of some kind. And I love the idea of balance for you. Maybe is just that. It's balance for you. Balance is custom made. It's custom fitted.
Yes.
Just like a good suit, right? And you don't get balance off the rack. It really is not one size fit all. It's what works for you really is what works for you. Yes. And I love that we're having this conversation again as melanated women, as I like to say, right? Because balance for us is very different with the demands of work-life balance, whatever that is, with the demands. So many women now are leading households, right? So there are a lot of melanated women who don't have the benefit or the blessing, I should say, not the benefit, but the blessing of a spouse right now because of various reasons. It could be lost through she's a widow or a divorce or whatever it is. How about that? Whatever.
Yeah.
But understanding that balance for us looks very different for us when we look at what balance looks like for other women. Can we just agree on that?
Absolutely.
How we define balance for us is very different. And so what I want to do is give us the okay to say, this works for me. That doesn't work for me.
And it's different depending on where you are with kids. If you got little kids, your balance is very different than those of us who our kids are grown.
That's
okay,
right.
I got you one better. How about you have an adult, a 20-year-old and a 12-year-old?
Right.
And you got to try and balance.
Right.
Okay, that's where I
Talk
find.
about it.
I'm glad you bring that up now about children because that's so true.
Yeah.
What balance looks like in my relationship with my 20-year-old daughter is very different from what it looks like with my 12-year-old son. And it's kind of like, you know, for all the mechanics out there, it would look like a car out of alignment going down the street, right?
Right. Right.
But we find our balance. We find our way in that. I love that. Y'all,
We find our equilibrium.
Yes. Yes.
I think we have to stop using that word balance because
like
it
that.
isn't about balance, it's about equilibrium. And so for right now,
How you
I am
shift.
able to walk. I gotta shift. So I gotta shift
How
how
you
I need
shift.
to. I mean, if you've ever been on a cruise ship, you know, when you get into that water, when they're trying to get you home that last day,
Yeah.
you have to figure out how to get your sea legs, if you will. You have to figure out what equilibrium is. So I think it's not about balance, it's about getting your equilibrium.
That's good.
Absolutely.
And so it causes
That
you
is
to
good.
shift some things,
Yes.
shift the weight, right? In
Yes.
different places, in different spaces. Y'all, that can go really deep. That can go really
Surely.
deep. I love that. We're down to 52 minutes. And I hate it, but we're at the end of the show. You all, I knew it was going to go fast. I didn't know it was going to go this fast, but I should have thought about that when I invited y'all. But that's a whole different conversation.
So it's our fault. It's our fault, y'all.
Now,
It is.
I'm shifting my equilibrium. I'm shifting the weight over here. I'm shifting it.
You just
Yes,
have to
ma'am.
bring us back for another part.
That's
you know what
right.
I'm saying?
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's
There
right.
you go,
You know
Katrina.
And I just may do that because I think we've struck really what's at the foundation and what's at the core of all of this. It's finding our place of equilibrium. Where do we shift the weight? Scripture tells us to cast our cares on him. Yeah, because he cares for us. That's shifting weight.
Yes.
So that's a whole different conversation.
Oh, that's show. Just wait, I have to write that one down because
Okay.
I'm
Yes.
use that one.
Please do. Please write that down. Please do.
Yes.
And so I want to end this, you all. I want to push pause because again, we have to come back for another conversation. But in closing, I want you to give our listeners a takeaway. And we'll start at the top with Katrina, with thankfulness. What is one thing a day we can start to incorporate in our lives to ensure that we live a daily life of gratitude and thankfulness? What can we do? One thing a day.
One thing a day is to actually say thank you to someone, whether it is someone who has served you, someone who did something nice for you, whether, you know, I will send a text. I will say to my husband, thank you for putting gas in the car, you know, or my children, thank you. They bring, you know, do things for me, just literal small things. But if someone does something big, recently it was my birthday and some people sent me gifts. So I'm writing thank you cards out. I keep thank you cards so that I can send them out to people who've done things for me to let them know I appreciate them.
And don't the handwritten ones just land a little bit different than a text or an email?
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, when I get a handwritten card, it lands differently in my heart space than somebody just saying, oh, hey, girl, thanks. You know,
Yeah.
And It just does. It just does. That's great. So just say the words, because I believe, Katrina, we see what we say, and we say what we see, right? So if you want to see it, you have to say it. If you want to see it, you have to say it. Love that. Relationship architect. How can we use thankfulness to curate a culture of gratitude in the family?
Yes, I must agree with my sister Katrina. I think to make it a daily practice of telling someone, and first of all, telling God, thank you. One of the things that we've started as a family is a grateful jar.
Oh, I
and
love that.
It sits on the piano in the living room, and so we throughout the day, throughout the year, we're always putting something in the jar and we're dropping it in there. And at the end of the year, how we bring in the new year is we don't do, the watch parties all night or what have you. We just don't, but we do it, where we bring in the new year, pouring out all of the things that we were grateful for. And we each take one and we read it. And we don't know whose it is. So we're reading someone else's thankful, space that they've given gratefulness and thankfulness to the Father for. And that alone gives us that juice and that energy to continue throughout the year.
Taking it.
I've got to feel it for the next 2 months.
Look, reeling that in, taking it. So taking that. I'm so taking it. And here's why I love this. Here's why I love it. It can have a generational approach. So if you have a multi-generational family, right?
Yes.
Or if you have husband and wife, or if you have single father children, single mother children, grandparent, whoever is in the household.
Yes.
And now it binds the bonds even tighter. Does that make sense? It really just pulls it in.
And when you can hear the even the small things that your children are grateful for saying, I'm grateful for having a mom and a daddy who show love and affection. I mean, it makes you like, okay, baby, give me another kiss, right? Makes you want to love them even more because you're being watched. You're being, and so yes, it's amazing what it can do as a legacy piece.
Oh, I
to
love
have that in the house. Yes,
I love
we got to use that in my classroom for the next 2 months.
Isn't that good? Oh my God, that is so good.
I'm sorry, royalties, just royalties now. Elaine.
I'll cash app you. Come
cash app, $, teasing.
But seriously, that one act.
Y'all my sisters, yes.
But that one act could potentially save a family, save a marriage.
Yes.
Oh, now that one.
Absolutely.
Oh my, that's good. Michelle, how do we use thankfulness as a way to keep ourselves mentally healthy during this time? How do we use gratitude as a skill set to keep us mentally healthy?
So the scripture tells us to write the vision and make it plain so that they may run with it and they may read it as they go, right?
Good. Yeah.
So part of what we want to do is as we are coming into the season, so going back to the thing that Elaine was saying about putting in the jar, part of that is about journaling. And when I can go through some situations, when I can go back and I can go back to journals and I can go back and say, yeah, devil, but the last time you brought this to me, but on January 27th, November 1st, 20 whatever. This is what God did. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and rehearse his word so that I don't have to go back. We don't have to have this again. Why?
That's right. We've been here before.
Yes.
I've written the vision and it was made plain. I can go back and now I can meditate on the things that I have written, the vision that was there, the things that God has done. And so I think it becomes absolutely essential for us to, one, write down our prayers, and then two, write down how God has answered them so that we can go back and use that as a way to say, not today, Satan, not today. I don't know if you've seen that commercial where the lady is like a healthcare commercial, and the lady was saying that she was going to die, and she said she walks over to the window and she pulls down the window and she said, "Oh, not today."
Not today.
Not
I
today.
love that.
And I think that's how we have to be with the devil, is we have to be able to open that journal up and say, "Do you see this?
That's it.
I'm already healed. I'm already delivered.
Yes.
I'm already set free. Not today.
Not today." And you know what I love about that, Michelle? For people who may not know how to pray, they may think they don't know how to pray.
Mhm.
They can start to just write down the words that are in their heart, right?
That's good.
And they can now make that a practice of gratitude. And you use the word called meditation. Meditation is when we take this vision and we put it here in our eye gates, and that becomes what we focus on. Not all the negativity outside, but it's right here. It's this vision right here, what I've created right here, under inspiration of God and His Word. That's what I'll focus on. So somebody may be watching this and think, well, you know, that's great for them. It sounds like they're experienced in prayer. It sounds like they really know something about God. I don't even know God. I don't know if I believe in God. Or I've tried the God thing and it didn't work for me. I'm going to ask you to take each and every one of these steps that the ladies gave us. Katrina said, start the day with gratitude, right? Go into a quiet place and just rehearse. Say the words so that you will see what you say. And then Elaine gave us a step further. Not only do you say the words daily, but you write them down and you compile them. So when ugly things are happening or disappointments are happening, I will just say, I'm thankful for breath. Put it in the jar. I'm thankful for life. Even if, well, I may not be thankful for life. Today, I'm just thankful for my children. Or I'm thankful I have a roof over, whatever it is, find something.
Yes.
Put it in the jar. And then Michelle goes a bit further with that. And she says, all right, not today. I'm going to stick with what I said. I'm going to stick with what God's word says about me. And if you don't know what God's word says, then go find it. Right? And if anybody watching here needs some references, please email the show. I'd be happy to share some references with you. masteryourmorning@gmail.com. Myself or my team will send you some references, some books to read, some versions of the Bible to read, some lost books of the Bible to read, some material that you can start to feed your mind and your spirit so that your body can become aligned with what your mind and what your body has to say. All right? You all, this is a time where we really can be full of Thanksgiving, not the superficial stuff, not just the turkey and all the stuff that people do this time. What I wanted the show really to be about was reality, the real challenges that we face and how we use thankfulness to overcome them. Certainly, I hope you have gotten that out of my sister circle today. So I want to thank again my dear, dear friends for joining me. Katrina Freisen in Atlanta, Miss Elaine Johnson in Houston, and of course, Dr. Michelle Van, all the way from Wichita, Kansas. Thank you all so much. Yes. Thank you all so much. And I want to close this by saying this. I want to tell you that I'm thankful for, woo, girl, she's getting emotional again. I want to thank you for you. You all have been a blessing and continue to be a real blessing to my life. You add value to my life. We have to have these times, you all, where we bond and we connect heart to heart. You have to have that. So anybody who's watching and you don't have that, my prayer for you is that you would find a group of people that you love and you trust, that you can be loved by and you can love, to share your heart, your life, and your experiences with. I'm thankful to God that I have found that in these ladies here. So I love you all. Thank you all for being my guest on this edition of Mogul Talk. Thank all of you for watching. This has been a special edition I certainly hope that you will choose to live your life not only from gratitude, from a place of thankfulness. That is my heart's prayer for you. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for watching. Connect with us on our fan page on Facebook, Master Your Morning with Ms. Mogul, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mogul Life TV. And visit our website, youcancreateyourown economy.com and mommyscreatingeconomies.com.